السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا إنك سميع مجيب الدعاء. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع وقلب لا يخشع ونفس لا تشبع ودعاء لا يسمع وربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي يا ربي آمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My beautiful friends in South Africa. I don't know what time is it. I know it's probably in the afternoon or in the night. It's a beautiful place, has a lot of beautiful memories in me. And may Allah reward the organizers. May Allah make the Women's Day successful. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevail justice in this world and everywhere and on His earth, in the communities, in the homes. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us for all the patience we are showing in every step in our life. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove the tests that all humanity is going through, Muslims and non-Muslims, and everywhere in all parts of the world. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. The topic we are going to be discussing today is a very sensitive topic. And it's sensitive, it's reality, and it's taboo, which means it's very uncomfortable for people to talk about it. It's common, but still we don't want to bring it to reality. We want to live as if it's non-existing. We try to find justification for it from both sides and families in general. Sometimes, may Allah forgive us, we blame it on our religion. And the result is I will use the word victims. There is many victims in here. It's not only the woman. In fact, and I'll show you statistics very soon, is actually the whole family, and specifically the children. And basically, the topic I'm going to be covering today, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make me say what pleases Him, number one and foremost and most important, is the domestic abuse. And I'm going to focus on the Muslim families and as a problem in Muslim families in general. The statistics I have is from the United States. So you can imagine, I think it will give you a good idea. It could be more in certain places, it could be maybe less in other places, but it can give you an idea that this is something is not, least to say, is not uncommon. It is something definitely common. Now, and in my research, and I'm going to give you the resources at the end, there is actually, I don't know if it's an institute, but it's definitely, it's a project. And the place, it's called, and I want to give you the right name exactly, and that's where I got my statistics from it, and I left it at the end here. It's actually started, it's a project. It's called something like Happy Family Project. I will give it to you at the end. And it's actually was started by a woman. And this started way early, way early. She actually passed away. May Allah give her Jannah al-Firdaus. 2004. She lived in Virginia. Peacefulfamilial.org. This is her organization, and she got a reward from ISNA, and she actually also led the delegate for the Muslim woman in the Women World forum that I think it was in 2001 or 2. So you will find a lot of statistics. So this is an organization that has focused on that part and started from the late 80s, and it is focused, or it has focused on the topic of abuse in the Muslim families in the United States. So number one, what is the word abuse? When we start, and then there is a domestic and there is abuse. So domestic, basically, it's in a home. It's something not outside. It's not international. It's something very close to me, right? So something, usually it is referred to something, if I am using as a nation, I will say domestic, meaning in the United States. But if I'm focusing or I'm referring to my home, it is related to my home. So domestic is something happening inside my house. Now, the word abuse is what? Is you use a right. You abuse, so Abuse is basically a use and abuse. Use, I'm using something I have in general for something beneficial. So I use the pen, for example, to write. I use, for example, the watch to see the time. Then I'm using that thing for the right thing Allah created. Abuse is when I use something Allah created other than what He created it for. So I use, for example, the pen to write, but writing something hurtful, then I'm abusing the pen or abusing my ability to write. So abuse, domestic abuse, is abusing, using, another word you can say, is using a right or an ability or a power that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave it to someone. And I don't want you to think only of women being abused, because it's both. However, it's much more in the woman. So there is a right, a power, ability. Allah gave it to someone. And that ability, that power, that financial ability can be used or should be used in the right way. When it becomes abuse is when this is being abused in the wrong way. When it's being used in the wrong way, it's called abused. And this can be the abuse inside the home, can be emotional, verbal, finance or financial, physical, or sexual. So inside the house, inside the home, the dynamics of the family, it actually goes around these. There is emotion involved. With families, you all feel this. Whenever we talk about families, there's emotions always. You love your family, whether that's your parents, that's your siblings, that's your husband, that's your children. Emotions are involved. So there is this emotions, if it is being used to hurt someone, that's abuse. Emotional abuse, verbal abuse. Allah gave me the tongue to spread khair, to spread goodness, to teach, to show beautiful feelings. That's use. Abuse is verbal. When I use my tongue, basically to hurt someone, to put down someone. 3, financial abuse. And this you see, whether this is with the children, this is with the husband, this is with the wife. I have the money, Allah gave it to me, and I abuse it to manipulate people. I deprive them of their rights because I have the money. I brought the money. So financial. Then we have the physical, wal-iyadu billah, basically using my hand, using part of my body to hurt someone, whether my hand itself or I'm using something with my hand to hurt someone physically. And then we have the sexual abuse. All these, emotional, verbal, financial, physical, and sexual, these are all abuse. This is what I want you, I want you to see, if we can share it with everybody. And this is actually the statistics from the organization I was telling you about. So basically, what is the percentage? How common this is in the Muslim family? And you will be very surprised. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 women, this is not Muslim in general, facts. Domestic violence is a pattern of abusive behavior used by someone to establish power and control over another person in a relationship. This is how you define it. Domestic violence is a pattern. It's not once, it's not twice. It's usually a pattern. It gets worse, get better, improve, worse. And usually the pattern is bad, get better, bad, get better, and then gets worse, more worse than the first time, then get better, then gets even worse and worse. It's a pattern, it's not once. So it's a pattern of abusive behavior used by who? Someone. Why? To establish power and control. To establish power and control. Again, I'm not talking about men only. This is in general. This could be parents with the children. Could be with the older child with the younger child, a husband with a wife. anyone. So it's basically abusing power to get power and control over another person in a relationship. That's the definition of it. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 women, 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men in the United States has been or will be a victim of domestic violence. I hope you are seeing it on the screen. And 53% of the American Muslims experience some form of domestic violence, which may include, again, emotional, verbal, financial, physical, or sexual. 53%, more than half of the Muslim families in general will experience some of this. Now remember, it's all, so it's verbal, emotional, financial, physical, or sexual. More than half of the Muslim families, children, now look at this statistic, this statement. Children who are in a household where domestic violence is happening have the same symptoms as children who are abused themselves. So 2 families, one of the families, the children are not abused, but there is abuse between the parents. They will later on show the same symptoms of those children in another family who have themselves been abused. That trauma is real. That trauma is real. And domestic violence can cause long-term developmental, emotional, and other problems in children. I think this is extremely important for the parents to know this. It does not affect them only, it affects the children. And if you are she or he staying in a relationship where there is abuse, for the sake of children, you may need to learn this. So children definitely get affected. More than half of the Muslim families goes through domestic abuse. Emotional, verbal, financial, physical, or sexual. Children of those families, they are not abused themselves, but live inside a home where there is domestic abuse. They will have effects similar as if they were abused themselves. Subhanallah. Now, immigrants, many immigrants. Why? Now we come to why, and I'm just sharing you with facts, and this is from the website that I shared with you in the beginning. Why there is many immigrants fear, why they don't seek any help. Fear they will lose their legal status or get deported. That gets into huge issues in it. If they seek help, calling any of these national or local resources, that there is a lot in here, will not result in loss of the status of the victim. This is for the immigrants, why they don't. There is a reason why the victims of domestic abuse don't seek help. And I'll say it quickly, but you probably all know. Number 1 is shame. I will say number 1 is for the sake of the children. And this is from my small experience. I don't run an institute for this, but from the counseling I get, I get a lot of questions from women about this. In fact, after the program today, I am meeting with someone to discuss this. Most of the women stay in an abusive relationship for the sake of the children. Number 2, the reason they stay, even if they don't have children, is the shame. And the stigma. The community, the family, their own family may mark them as. Number 3 is financial. Where will I go? And this is what it is here said, because when the woman leaves the house to go for a shelter, there's a lot of issues comes out of the shelter. And the hope that things will change. I'm staying, he will change, she will change. So there is a lot of obstacle. Domestic, 85%, and this is what I want you to see, 85% of the domestic violence victims are women. 85%. There's 15% of them, there is men, but 80 are women.